So one of the things that draft analysts and draftniks are going to like about Daniel Jones, or any quarterback with size, and Daniel Jones is a guy, I believe, about 6'5", 220, is the ability to work through contact in the pocket. There's a defensive tackle getting a wrap, and he's able to throw that ball. Actually, it's a defensive end, but be able to throw that ball 18 yards from the pitch point with enough accuracy that the receiver can make the play. Receiver has to work for it, but you see the ability to reduce the shoulder, turn away from the reach so he can keep his throwing arm free, rotate back around as he spots the receiver breaking back, and get that ball into a position where at least the receiver can make the play. This is where Daniel Jones earns a lot of love, I think. Dude's tough. He'll stand in there. He'll take the hits, make the throw. I mean, again, this is a short-range throw. Outside shade coverage. Receiver coming back to the ball. It's pinpoint. But he has two defenders coming down at him, and he takes a hit right here. Still gets that ball off, stands in there. Very accurate there. Short and intermediate range of the field. While his accuracy could be a little better, considering the pressure that he takes, this is something that I like, that I see. And I think a lot of people who like Daniel Jones as a prospect really dig this aspect of his game, and I don't blame them. I like this about him. Very comfortable in the pocket and tough. Once again, Jones' size, strength, and pocket presence work pretty well to be able to survive plays that other quarterbacks may not. You're going to see him drop back here, look to the middle, feel the pressure, reduce the shoulder, and then get caught kind of by the leg here. But he's able to look downfield, sees that corner route that the tight end was running to the right, and then deliver that ball as the tight end comes back to it. So you get a 19-yard pass while in the grasp at the leg. Now, is this something that's going to happen in the NFL? Because once you're in the grasp here, you know that the officials are going to try and blow this dead pretty quickly. But you still like the strength here to kind of pull through on a lot of plays, and if not, the willingness and the ability to identify a defender downfield. You can see that there's some scanning of the field here. Starts to the middle. See if he looked to his left at all. I thought he did. Maybe a little early. Looks a little bit to his left, but not a lot. Just kind of has his eyes on the two receivers on the right, in the right seam, right flat. Goes to the one that's breaking back on the corner route. Here's another nice example of Daniel Jones' pocket presence, as well as the use of his size to aid that pocket presence, and then to find an open receiver. You can see the inside pressure here. Pulls through it, climbs, throws off platform, 10-yard completion from pitch to catch. But I like that as he pulls through here, I mean, this is all fairly well covered, and at the point that where he's pulled, he has to reduce that shoulder, so he's pretty much eliminating that option, even if he saw it open, the one to the right flat at the numbers that I'm circling. So once that pull reorients him, he starts to look downfield here, and he sees that he's got two receivers breaking to the inside. Oftentimes the good rule is, guess what? Throw to the backside man of the two. He's looking to the first, comes back to the second, hits it pinpoint, and that receiver comes back to him a little bit, number 5. Watch how 5 breaks back inside, a little bit closer to the quarterback here. Good job working with his passer here, but what I like is, again, the hitches, size to pull through, not trying to reorient his body in a direction where he was originally going, just going with the flow and saying, listen, I know where my two backside guys are, and making a wise choice with the one that he does take. One of the things you always want to see with a quarterback is accuracy under pressure. Can they slide up in the pocket, like right here? Nice couple of hitches. Then fire that ball into the zone, 15 yards downfield from the pitch point. It's a nice job. Now, how much of a hitch is this? Fairly straightforward, but still, you're getting a chance to see consistently that when there's edge pressure, he feels it. He's proactive about being able to clear it and fire that ball where it needs to be. My man on Twitter who asked me late at night from England about Daniel Jones's ability to hitch and fire, and I said you might want to find more examples of that. Well, I've seen a few. Gotta tell you, pretty good eye there, my man. So if you're watching this, I hope you feel validated. Why are opposite hash throws important? I think this play by Daniel Jones really illustrates that fact. You're going to watch it here. He's going to throw to the opposite flat from the far hash to his outside twin or outside trips left receiver. This guy right over here. Watch him hitch a couple of times, get that ball out, breaks a tackle, and it's over. Big play. Big play on vertically a short pass. Horizontally, it's a pretty deep pass. Requires a good bit of velocity on this throw. So why is this important? First of all, stretching the field. When you can stretch the field out, then you have more opportunities of one-on-one with a ball carrier on a defender. And usually when you have a ball carrier in space, one-on-one with the defender, you're giving them the advantage. So the idea is that if you can get the ball out quickly to an open man, let him catch it in stride, break one tackle, it's going to go for a big play. And this is a great example of how stretching the field 3-by-1 receiver set stretches this defense. You have 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, you have 2 safeties, and they're split pretty wide apart. So one, you know what they're doing when you spread it out pretty far. You have a general idea of what the defense is going to do. They can't disguise a lot when they have to cover this wide area of a field. Number 2, if you can get the ball out quickly, on time, and placed accurately on a play like this one where the receiver makes his break and works back towards the quarterback, or at least back towards the line of scrimmage and towards the sideline, when he can catch this ball in stride and make a quick turn, pull through a reach, it's over. So it's very important that if you have a spread quarterback, that he can deliver the far reaches of the field. If he can cover to the far reaches of the field, get the ball out quickly, and deliver pinpoint accurate on these types of one-on-one plays, or it doesn't even have to just be spread looking system. It can be a system where maybe you have one receiver way outside and the box is condensed because they're expecting run. Can you set up quickly, throw the ball across the field, get the ball into space with your receiver who can break one tackle? If you can do that, it opens up opportunities. And Daniel Jones does a good job here. It gives a quick look to the right, comes back to the left, 2 hitches, fires in stride. So you can see physically the tools are there, and even technically the tools are there for Daniel Jones when it comes to where he fits. Fits very well in this spread type of attack, where you can use his arm strength as an advantage with a receiver one-on-one. Here's a good example of Daniel Jones delivering a throw on platform, on the move, avoiding pressure. Climbs, slides to his right, pressure still in his face, delivers the ball to 87, who breaks across right here from the inside up the middle to the right flat. And he throws it pinpoint, giving that receiver a chance. You may have to adjust a little bit here. But the adjustment also is predicated on him turning back to the inside. I mean, the receiver pretty much has a plan of how he wants to go here. So while I could see the argument for this being general accuracy, I gave him a pinpoint score on this particular throw. On the move, sliding to his right. Very little adjustment here. And I think the adjustment is really predicated to be able to stop and turn. So again, it's nice to see a climb, then a slide, to work upfield and then to the outside, get that throwing lane, fired on the move, even with pressure starting to emerge in his face from the, I believe that's the nose tackle. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like from the defensive tackle here. Unfazed. Good job. Here's another nice play in the vertical range for Daniel Jones. It's not exactly a play that's successful, but you can see again, nice couple of hitches to avoid pressure here, just feeling that pressure well, delivering downfield, and just about a step away from this becoming a more comfortable catch. It's about 43 yards. I define this as the high end of the vertical range of the field. I divide the field into short, intermediate, vertical, and deep. And vertical is what many people would even consider the deep game, but I just call it the vertical game, because anything the vertical game and deeper is pretty much fits into that. But I like to have two qualities there because it defines people who have kind of Matt Ryan-esque arm strength, good but not great. And then people who have like Ben Roethlisberger, Patrick Mahomes arm strength, which is, super high end. But if he can start hitting these on a more consistent basis with his pocket presence, it would be quite valuable for his career. At least in this Virginia Tech game, you're getting a chance to see where his range is, at least for tonight, which is that low-end vertical range, that, high 20 to low 40 range. This is a 30-yard throw about. Nice little hitch from that pressure right here. And then getting his shoulder up. See that front shoulder being up a little bit? Making sure that the ball gets a little bit of loft with this pressure coming in right here. It's a nice job being able to kind of anticipate this linebacker it's a linebacker coming around here. You want to make sure that ball's high off of his hand, so it's not tipped. Good job. Another decent display from a quarterback is to watch what he can do when he's forced outside the pocket. Can he throw on the move? You can see here the edge rush gets within about a step of him. When he decides to move outside, he's able to shake that reach. He's quick enough to get outside there. And good job throwing this ball about 24 yards on the move with pressure pursuing over top. And the receiver makes a sliding catch. Now, is this a pinpoint catch, pinpoint throw? I think that you'd say no, because the receiver has to get low within a couple of steps to anticipate this ball kind of dying here. But he makes the catch. It's a good throw. It's just not a great throw. But considering the situation, this is well done. And I really like what he does early on here with this pressure off the edge. I'm going to be able to reduce that shoulder right there, use the hand to slide up away the reach, and get outside. That's nice work. Now, should you expect pinpoint accuracy on this play? And I think you can say most of the time it's not going to happen. It's a good enough play. So I'd be happy with this. So certain throws you're going to want pinpoint all the time. Certain throws I think you're kind of happy with if you can just get it there for the receiver to make a play in bounds. And I think this one's a good example of that. So I discussed this topic in an earlier RSP film room up on my YouTube channel about quarterback depth and range of accuracy, and why that's important to be able to pinpoint those ranges of the field that I've talked about earlier in the show about short, intermediate, vertical, and deep. So far, we're saying that Daniel Jones in this game has been an inaccurate deep thrower, or barely accurate, if you want to say that general accuracy is okay, and that he's a little bit more adequate on the short range of the vertical scale. So, 29 to 35 yards, pretty good. Anything beyond that starts to get a little dicey. This is 34 yards, the upper range of his accuracy, it looks like. And this is opposite hash. And you can see the receiver has to turn back to make this play. That means he's got to do a little bit of work to win this ball. That makes it a general accurate pass. Now when we watch what happens here, as he gets his hand on the ball, it bounces out. But you can also see the defender's hand was there. Then now, does the defender get his hand in there and that's what causes it to bounce out? I'd say the receiver actually makes that mistake first. But the fact that the receiver has to turn back and he sees that defender reaching for him, that's a potential distraction in the first place. And then when the defender is able to strike the chest after the balls come loose, that pretty much guarantees that the receiver is not going to get a second shot at this ball. So it's a general accurate pass. It's a tough throw to make opposite hash here. But still, if you're gonna make it, you want it to be pinpoint accurate, because otherwise you're opening up your receiver to that type of play. And you can see the right arm, watch the right arm of number 3 kind of come up and windmill towards the receiver like that. That probably also distracted the receiver some. So if you want to minimize the distraction elements, throw it so the receiver can continue to look it in over his inside shoulder, catch it over his inside shoulder, and then just turn his back to the defender. But he's got to turn into that defender. Here's another one of these opposite hash throws where it's in the vertical range of the field. Looks off to his left, comes back to his right, delivers it to the opposite flat. But the receiver, see how he has to turn back for this ball? Should be another yard or two more than what it is. Just got to lead that receiver better than he has. And this seems to be a consistent component of his game. The more I watch him, his passes are just either a little too far, a little too short. His deep accuracy or vertical accuracy just isn't quite on par with where it needs to be. And again, opposite field throws, thrown from the opposite hash, this is a difficult play. But you have to have you have to have these high expectations for the NFL. And this is where that good accuracy, but not quite, seems to be taking root when I start more and more tape I watch of Daniel Jones. Pinpoint passes matter. You can see this here. I mean, look at Daniel Jones on this particular play. Nice play fake, good extension. Rolls to his left, resets nicely, fires with pressure hitting him in the chest. And it's not pinpoint. He gets his ball off just before he's hit. Now, he leans back to try and avoid some of that contact as much as possible while he delivers it, and it's a heck of a shot. But look at the receiver. He has to turn back and wait on the ball. And because he has to do that, guess who gets to come back into the play and knock the ball away is number 12. Now, you could say 24 has to do a better job of pulling the ball away faster, but it looks like he turns there. You could say that he still has to try and secure it. Sure, some of that's on the receiver. Receiver can do maybe a better job of holding on through contact. Absolutely. But as a quarterback, you want to eliminate as many of these variables as possible and deliver an accurate throw that allows the receiver to run under it with his back to the defender and continue upfield for a touchdown. Instead, it's an incomplete pass on what could have been a 45-yard completion from pitch to catch and really a 46-yard touchdown if he's able to catch this ball and not have to turn, wait, and then go up for it with the defender within range to strike at it, because he had to open his body to that defender, recovering from the fact that 24 originally beat him downfield. So now here's a good example of a deep throw in terms of the deep range of the field, the way I define it, 49 yards from pitch to catch. You're going to see Jones first look to the safety here, see that the safety is working to the right side, finishes his drop looking to the right, and then comes back to the left very quickly with a pivot and throws that ball, hits him in stride, 49 yards. It's dropped, but it was a good throw and needed to be where it needed to be. And I like the fact that he's able to set up this play. Again, as my buddy Mark Schofield would say, this is pretty basic. He believes his cat could make this type of a look off when it comes to dropping back and looking to the right side and then coming back to the left. But it's good footwork, and it's important footwork. And it's fundamental to a quarterback's success in the deep game that he can at least do this. And Daniel Jones does. And I like how he moves in the pocket. He just has really good footwork in terms of being able to create space in little ways. Now, what I want to see is more challenging work against pressure to see just how strong his footwork is. But on a fundamental level of dealing with pressure and hitching in a straightforward line, does a good job. Being able to look off a defender and really sell it with a turn one way and come back to the other, and be able to get into position to throw the ball well and accurately, this is good. Another nice thing about Daniel Jones' game is that he will look off a defender early. See that he looked to the left before going back to the right on this little route. Slant that goes for a touchdown about 13 yards. But you can see the quick look. Watch right here. He's still looking to the middle. Now he turns. Gets rid of the ball quickly as well. I'm also a fan of his play action game to the extent that he understands the bigger view. And I'll show you what I mean here. Watch the play action pass. Gets it complete, receiver gets yards after the catch. But that play action, it's not very thorough, is it? I mean, he doesn't really sink that ball into the chest. He's starting to pull it through before the runner even approaches the exchange point, and then he's up and ready to throw. You might say, well, that's not a very thorough play fake, Matt. Why is that good? Because he understands that he's throwing a quick slant, and he's reading the defense. So when you read this defense and you see that the defense is biting on the run fake before you even deliver it, you can bring that ball up quickly so that you can find that open receiver before the linebacker doubles back. So we've seen the big picture here. And that's important because he gets that ball behind number 51. 51 bites, goes, whoa. But now he gets it to 5 before 51 can get back there. And 5 makes a nice play. So sometimes it's about not executing the play perfectly in terms of style points, but understanding that you've accomplished your task and abandoning it early enough to go to the next one. I'm also a fan of how he's buying time in the pocket. I would say that, oftentimes you want to see a quarterback buy that time as late as possible as the defender gets by. But sometimes you want him to do it as early as possible. As soon as he starts to feel that backside pressure here off the right edge, watch him hitch to the left and throw. Hitch, throw. It's just a nice job of feeling that pressure and taking proactive steps to maintain that space so that you can deliver this ball. Here's another good example of taking a proactive movement in the pocket here. Edge pressure off the right again. Hitch, hitch, throw into the open zone. Again, just proactively buying space. Even if the defender's not going to get there, the fact that he can see that flashing there, he buys enough time that he can help his tackle be able to move the man a little bit further outside, as well as making sure that he has room to deliver this ball. And I like the footwork. See a pretty good job of being able to slide up, deliver this ball with a nice over-the-shoulder compact delivery. Here's another nice example of play action. It ends with a deep pass that's very accurate, 46 yards on the post. Fakes that draw. Look at how he dips down like that, shoulder level to the running back. That brings up the linebacker right here at the hash. Not that that helps in terms of what the linebacker did. We don't see how the safety bites, but I imagine he does, because look at this two hitch and throw here on a line. There's your defensive back. Bye-bye. Looking at it from this angle, watch that dip one more time. Really nice job. When they can't see you at the line and you see a guy bending down like that, you wonder if there's an exchange going on, because it's just a quick flash. They're not studying it the way at the speed we are here. That's such a reduced speed. I mean, what you're looking at is maybe for the briefest moment you might see that, just for the briefest moment, and that's enough to make you pause and think. When you pause and think, that's a step or two, which number 5 has. I also like the ability to stay in the pocket and hang there, taking the hit. You see this pretty frequently with him, is that he's willing to move in tight quarters. And he just slides a little bit to his left away from that interior pressure, and unloads this ball, takes the hit, and just a little bit too wide. The receiver should have caught this, but it's a generally accurate pass. It's not a pinpoint accurate pass. This ball delivered from the 44 to about the, looks like about the 8. So you're looking at about a 48-yard throw from pitch to catch. And about a step away from being in stride, which is pretty darn good considering you're getting hit as you throw this ball. And keep that in mind. Watch how he slides a little bit to his left, that one step to his left, accounting for that pressure from the right side. Good play, just not a great result. One area where Jones must improve is his processing. And what I mean by that is the time it takes between seeing the open receiver and delivering the ball. You need to anticipate certain throws a little bit better and not hesitate. You're going to watch this you throw from the far side of the field almost, or to the far side of the field here. You see it's cut off by the defensive back right here, nearly making a play on the ball to get the interception. So first, just watch how much ground this man makes up. This is about when the ball's coming out, and he's about 5 yards away, and he makes that up easily in the position that he is. And he reads Jones pretty quickly. Let's watch how he's reading it. He's already looking at it about right here. He's watching Jones. This is where the ball should already be coming out. But Jones takes 1, 2, at least 2 steps. Let's see if he takes 3 hitches. Pivots here. 1, 2, 3. Really more like 3, I think. Or at least 3 beats. Yeah, there's 3 hitches in that. That's way too long. Once he pivots here and he sees this leverage, this should be coming out. He should have confidence of where the receiver's supposed to be and getting the ball there. But he waits until it's absolutely clear to him that this is the open man. But at this point now, the man's not open because the defender sees it, and he has a good angle to just come downhill, accelerate downhill, and cut that off. And if it's let's say it's a more athletic defensive back or a little quicker, this could be a pick six with all that room that's up here. So that's where Jones has to get better, is understanding that when he sees something come open right here, or when he sees a situation like this, he has to understand this is open. It's time to let the ball go, not 3 more steps later. Another point of note with Daniel Jones is this third down, you're going to see him predetermine this read. And I'm going to say he predetermines it because he's already looking to the right side as soon as he does his zone read. It's supposed to be a quick hitting play. So sometimes on short yardage situations like this, you're going to basically know who you're going to go to. But there's a problem with that because as he begins to set up, even as he's looking here, he should see that the defender has inside leverage and he's playing tight enough that he has the advantage to come downhill on a throw where the route's going to be breaking inside and across. So right here, this should be a point where he should be thinking bringing it down. But of course, it's 3rd and 3. It's a short drop and setup, and he's got pressure coming. So if he's going to throw this, might want to throw it to the back shoulder. That's not what happens here. Number 5 has an easy time of being able to defend this. And he isn't even looking at the quarterback because he knows he has position. So basically, he's just waiting for the receiver to make his break. He comes across, looks at the ball at that point, shoots his arm across. So what could have been done here? Well, one, looking at the coverage leverage at this point, could you change the play? Because you could run this inside and have your slot receiver maybe break to the outside here with this inside leverage. That could confuse things. That would be a nice pre-snap adjustment, don't you think? Is that something he'd be allowed to do? Regardless, when you look at this, you'd like to see fewer instances in pivotal situations where he's looking at the leverage and going, well, I'm going to have to force the ball in. One of the issues that I have with Daniel Jones' game that we need to see improvement with him as he gets into the NFL is how he deals with ancillary coverage. What I mean by that is the defensive back on this side, who's on the right, he's not covering the receiver who's on the outside right out of the screen. That's not his job. But he works back into the play and is within range of being able to help out in that area of the field, something that the quarterback needs to be aware of. And part of that is understanding the coverage type that he's working with. So you can see here as he works up, that defender works back to the inside to break up this pass and nearly intercept it. And part of it is he's in zone because he's an outside shade of this receiver to begin the play. So most likely he's in a zone. And you can see that as he works towards the inside, he takes one step towards that inside. As the receiver crosses that hash, he knows that's no longer his responsibility. He's going to float back out to the flat to cover the flat. The quarterback looking downhill to just kind of look off the safety, maybe look at this crossing route, maybe get an eye on what's going on with the receiver to the outside here. Generally, you want to see the head downfield, the helmet downfield, but you don't know where the eyes exactly are. It's just, that's just the facts, and that's how quarterbacks are trained ideally, is to have their helmet downfield while they're using their eyes peripherally to scan the field. But he does a good job of anticipating the pressure that's coming off the edge. At this point, here's our defender. He's the ancillary defender to what's going on with the target that's breaking behind him. Jones does not regard this defender at all, because if he did, he would not throw this ball. And that's something that he's going to have to work on. And a lot of young quarterbacks have this issue, is that they just don't have a feel, understanding for where that defender is positioned, who is ancillary to the target and to the coverage on that target. Because this is the primary coverage defender over top. He's the one who started outside and worked inside behind the receiver. This defender was starting really more to the inside of that receiver, took a step inside, then flattened out to the flat to work underneath. Here we are, more ancillary coverage issues for Daniel Jones. You're going to see this outside receiver I'm circling on the bottom right is going to run a post route, working to the opposite hash. And you're going to see the defender playing inside shade here, inside this little, broadcast box shading of the scoreboard. He's going to be inside shade here. You're going to have a defender underneath. I believe it's this defender here who's going to work underneath and take away this ball. .21. So where's 21? Right here. When Jones begins his play action look, he looks to that open area of the field. But he should be cognizant of two safeties here. He should also be cognizant that the safety isn't just sitting in this area, in the short area, covering this slot receiver. But he thinks he can beat it, or he just doesn't see the safety, or he doesn't remember that the safety should be there. Whatever the reason, he's not aware of the ancillary coverage. And to me, that's what kind of holds his game back, is whether or not he's pinpoint accurate on plays he should be, and whether or not he's identifying the coverage of the defense well enough so that he uses better judgment with the targets that he delivers. As I take you through my journey of studying Daniel Jones, going through the tape, one of the things that's emerging for me is that as much as I like Daniel Jones' pocket movement, his willingness to throw under pressure, his skill to be able to look off defenders on some types of plays, some of his pre-snap reads, I don't like his placement of the football. I don't think he's an NFL accurate quarterback, and I'm not completely finished with that. So as I make this statement, I may change my mind about this. But based on what I'm tracking thus far with accuracy, I think he's just good enough to get consideration by a lot of coaches. And I'm saying this in a realistic way, not in the way that I would do it. In theory, I'd say he's not accurate enough. But in the way that the NFL seems to work, I would say that he's going to get consideration. You throw this ball, and it should have been caught. Okay? This is what you'd call, on some level, if you define it as the receiver doesn't have to make a lot of effort to catch this ball in terms of just adjusting his body, you might define it in one way as pinpoint accurate, and he just drops it. And we're going to get a closer look at this in a minute. But look at that defender who's on the outside watching the entire time. Again, this ancillary coverage, understanding that what you're facing as a quarterback and who you're targeting, who may be around, you don't want to throw this ball and lead him into that defender coming downhill at him. That's not the look you want. If you're going to throw this ball, target him to the back shoulder, not the front shoulder. You can see with this defender coming downhill like that, the defender's kind of trying to post up and turn his back to catch this ball and trying to at least be square with the quarterback. The quarterback's leading him into that defender. And you can tell that he kind of stopped there to frame where he wanted to be, and the ball's not going there, and he knows that defender's behind him. And he ends up taking a helmet right to the chin. I mean, that's like a right hook. It feels like a right hook, too. So this is something that he's got to... It's just something he's not very good at, if you ask me, from what I've seen thus far, is understanding where to place that ball so that it maximizes the receiver's opportunity to make the catch. This is in literally, you could define this as pinpoint. I wouldn't, because he's not aware of the position that he needs the receiver to be at to protect him from the defender, so he can maximize that catch opportunity. And he needs to throw that back shoulder as opposed to front shoulder. Some people will say, well, quarterbacks aren't thinking that on that level. I've even heard some former pro receivers say that it was rare. But when you talk to coaches who've coached the top level players in the NFL, and you read their work, they talk about the emphasis of where the ball should be placed on certain types of throws. So I understand that, there's theory and then there's practice. But you have to grade the player on theory while also having an understanding of what happens in practice. So it's a good throw in terms of it does the job and the receiver had to do his job. But if you're grading this quarterback relative to what you want the quarterback to be, it's not quite good enough. And that's my concern with Daniel Jones, is that his accuracy may not be quite good enough. The thing with Jones is that this type of performance happens too often, even on a quick opposite field throw here. Low and behind, forces the receiver to make an adjustment where it's low, his feet aren't in a good position. And the receiver doesn't even know whether it's counted as a catch or not. Watch this. He's just thinking, this play must be over. Oh, wait a minute. Nobody blew the whistle. Nobody blew the whistle at all. But that kind of stems from him having to make a tough catch and wondering if he actually made it or not, or it counted. And these types of plays stall drives. And I see this not only in the opposite field targets like this, but also a fair amount of short and intermediate range targets out of Daniel Jones, that the ball just isn't where it needs to be on a consistent basis. And when I say consistent, I'm not saying 80% of the time or 90% of the time, but when you start looking at 20, 30, 40% of the time that his throws are, generally accurate, but not pinpoint accurate and require an adjustment, especially on quick hitting passes where you want the receiver to be able to make a move, but they're having to waste that energy and space making a move just to catch the ball. That doesn't help. Here's another pivotal example of good accuracy, but not good enough. 4th and 7, 133 left, down by 14. Twin right outside receiver. It's broken up. On the surface, you look at this just from this angle and you say, it's accurate enough that he should have caught it. And that's true. It's also true that the receiver's breaking back towards the sideline. He makes his break, comes back, but veering towards the outside. The ball should be at the outside shoulder, placed towards the sideline. Give the receiver a chance to make the effort so only he makes the catch. The defender coming over top, playing this inside shade, well, he's going to come breaking in from the inside. And he's able to break this ball, or break this target up right here. See how he comes over the top of the inside with his arm? And the ball's at that inside shoulder. Should be at that outside shoulder. Receiver has to turn back and wait on it. General accuracy, not pinpoint accuracy. It's important against man coverage that it be placed towards the region of the receiver's break as opposed to behind it. So one of the difficulties of evaluating quarterback play is determining whether the quarterback is inaccurate or whether the receiver did something that he shouldn't have done. And we're going to take a look at this because the ongoing question I have as a root problem with Daniel Jones' game may be his accuracy. Is it good but not good enough? And this is a tough play because you can see here, look, the receiver drops the ball. On top of that, he's always under. I see Duke receivers drop the ball a fair bit on plays that they should make. And I also see Daniel Jones under pressure a great deal relative to the quarterbacks in this class. And I admire him. I mean, he's taking shots to his ribs. He knows this is coming on the periphery most likely. He still gets rid of the ball before it's hit. So you want a pinpoint accurate pass. And on the surface, this doesn't look pinpoint. On the surface, you look at this and you say, well, the receiver had to turn back and he had to get low and catch this ball. But did he? Was this a throw that was generally accurate, or was this a pinpoint throw that the receiver mistracked and mishandled? Because on the one hand, you don't see him looking at the safety, but the safety is coming. There's a safety over top. So if he considered the safety on this play pre-snap, then throwing a back shoulder fade would make sense. And with the ball in the air here, the receiver needs to begin to make his turn. And as he makes that turn, he should be finishing that turn inside out right now instead of taking another step backwards, shielding the defender already in a position where he's shielding, and then leaping at the highest point to attack the ball. Instead, the receiver waits for the ball to arrive at its lowest point possible under the defender and try and make this catch, and he ends up dropping it. See here, there's the ball, and it's low there. So the question is, did he turn too late? Should he have turned a step earlier, stopped, and leaped back for the ball? And I think he did. I think that's the issue, is that he doesn't turn early enough, doesn't leap back to the ball early enough, and that this was a well-placed ball. Because the quarterback should be considering the safety, considering that the safety's over at this side of the field pre-snap. So in my estimation, this is an accurate throw. Most likely would have been a pinpoint accurate throw, but it wasn't a great route by the receiver. I think that this was supposed to be a fade route. I think the way the ball was covering, that it was thrown back shoulder, and the receiver is a step too late in making the adjustment, and therefore he can't stop, turn, shield, leap back towards the ball and win it at its highest point. And the result's a drop. So when I talk about Daniel Jones and his accuracy maybe being good but not good enough, one of the things that I have to factor into this is his receiver play and some of these throws. So when I'm charting him, and I'm charting him as general or pinpoint accuracy on this particular play, as much of a judgment call as it is, and again, this is why it makes quarterback evaluation difficult, I'm awarding this as a pinpoint accurate throw that the receiver mishandles. And it's a good throw under pressure, too. So credit to Daniel Jones on that. Let's talk about that darn ancillary coverage again and pass placement combined. As you watch this play through, you're going to see him drop back, flash to the right where the flat is, come back to the safety, and then go back to the right. Flash to the right, go back, look at the safety, go back, and it's nearly cut off by the defensive end. Now, why is it cut off nearly by the edge rusher here? Well, not why is it, but why is it that he went back to this receiver? It's not because he was really looking towards this route with the single receiver on the right side. He's setting up the block so that he can throw this wide route. Watch what happens here. The receiver goes inside, then comes back out, and he's already looking to block. So really the look off of the safety is just to bait this corner into continuing to slide inside and man up so that the receiver would have an angle to block so that he can then throw this route to the receiver, which is a swing pass, not a wide route. So throwing the swing route, where should the ball be located? Not back shoulder. That's where it is, and he's turned into his back hip here. What that does is it opens up this edge defender to be able to get through and interfere with the passing lane and nearly pick it off and probably have a pick six opportunity right here. So the issue isn't the look off. That's good. Look there. Nice. Okay. Go back downfield to make it look realistic, like you decide to go elsewhere. So you can leave this man alone in the flat and then turn back. But when you throw this ball, it needs to be placed downhill over the downhill shoulder towards the sideline. Let him run under it, past this edge rusher, continue to run through the catch point so that he has a chance to take advantage of this block downfield by the wide receiver. Instead, he throws what should have been a pick and probably could have been a pick six, with one of your most athletic players on the field being an edge rusher, most likely. I don't know this edge rusher. Maybe he's not that athletic, but most edge rushers are kind of like, faster tight ends. Quicker, faster, stronger tight ends. So if he can catch this ball, he's going for a while, especially against Daniel Jones. who's probably the only guy who's going to get a shot at being able to catch him for at least the next 30 to 40 yards. So it's very important that pass placement, especially in the red zone, is precise. And he's just not a precise passer. He's an accurate passer for the college game. He's an accurate passer when you talk about the box score of it just counting, like close enough, horseshoes, dancing, nuclear war. Those things are close enough. But quarterbacking doesn't qualify in that range, except maybe in high school and college, depending on, what type of routes you're throwing to. This needs to be more precise. So I'll be kind of interested to see how Daniel Jones runs at the combine in terms of the 40, because this is a 69-yard touchdown run, and he does outrun angles to a defensive back or two on this play. But let's remember that one of these defensive backs is crossing the field here from the opposite side. Doesn't take a good angle. Has to slow down for another defensive back who comes into the play and misses that angle too. And this player's been running for a little bit of a while before he turns around. But you can see that Jones outruns that angle pretty well too. What I can tell you is the first run I've seen that remotely looks like he has breakaway speed. So I'm skeptical that he really does. Maybe he runs a 4.7 40. Maybe he runs a high 4.6. What I do know is it doesn't show up regularly. And a lot of players are being run off by the downfield receivers. And some bad angles were taken too. So I have no doubt that he has some build-up speed to be able to accomplish this. I just don't think you're going to look at him and say, oh, he's a running threat. Profiled a lot of vertical and deep plays for Daniel Jones, but this is what I'm seeing regularly throughout his portfolio of film. Short and intermediate passes that force the receiver to turn behind, to reach high for the ball, to dip low for the ball, to basically adjust to it in a way where it's not with the flow of the route, against the grain. And it's leading to a lot of their drops. Some of them are unwarranted drops. And this should still be caught. But if you're a receiver, if you're a coach, you want to give your receiver a chance to earn yards after the catch. Daniel Jones does not frequently give his receivers as much of an opportunity to get the amount of potential yards after the catch as the route actually provides. And look at that. That's the thing that concerns me about him. There's no pressure, hitches, throws, does so many things right from snap to throw. But once he delivers it, it's just a little off. And I just don't know if that's going to get fixed. So when you look at Daniel Jones charting, the way I chart it, you're going to find that there's a fair share of pinpoint accurate passes. There's a fair share of general accurate passes. And there's a fair share of passes under pressure where there's general accuracy. In fact, most of the passes that I'm seeing of this type, under pressure, taking the hit, aren't like this. They're usually tightly covered, and the ball forces the target forces the receiver to adjust to the ball into coverage or make a difficult adjustment in the air. This is more of an exceptional case based on what I've seen thus far. But what makes the evaluation of Daniel Jones difficult for a lot of people, and why there's some polarizing opinions with him, is that when you look at his pocket movement, his willingness to take a hit, and he takes a lot of these hits, and you see that even when there's a lot of generally accurate passes that may be difficult to catch, or dropped passes due to the difficult nature of the targets arriving to the receiver, you also see that there are very few inaccurate passes in this downfield range, even under pressure. So when you put all that together, you can understand how maybe one evaluator looks at Daniel Jones and says, this is a tough kid who takes a lot of pressure, continues to throw the ball aggressively and within an area where his receivers have a chance to catch it. And some of these passes, in fact, a fairly good percentage of them that were dropped should have been caught. And so you may look at this and say, well, with a better offensive line where he's not dealing with pressure as much as he did at Duke this year, he's going to throw more of these passes. He's going to throw more pinpoint accurate passes. With that pocket movement in the arm and the mechanics, we like what we see. We're going to project that with a better surrounding cast, he can be a more productive quarterback. And I suppose that's fair. Where I stand right now, I'm not so sure, because I see a fair amount of passes where he's not dealing with pressure in the short, intermediate, vertical, and deep games, where the ball still isn't quite where it needs to be, and he makes the plays more difficult. And I think that that's still going to translate to the NFL. I think he's talented enough to get a chance to prove otherwise. And if he does, more power to him, because you got to admire a player who deals with physicality as well as he does. But this is the question that I think is going to be the major factor between him becoming either a career NFL backup or guy trying to make a roster, a journeyman, or a productive starter in the league. Can he make it look like this on a more frequent basis?